Hi, this is Paul with Paul's Mobile Homes. And yesterday I did a podcast, and it was designed to help somebody kind of remodel their own home, their own mobile home. And I realized that it'd be easier if I did it on a video and showed you a couple things. Now, the first thing that I talked about was color and in relationship to color, looking at the big picture. Now, the first thing I want to say is everybody's taste is individual, and there's no way I can account for each person's individual tastes. So I'll try not to get into that too much. And you have your own. You have colors that you like, etc. Now, the way to make a whole room go together is to envision a big picture, like what furniture will be in that room, what window coverings will be in that room. What color flooring do you already have? So if you're looking at painting walls, take those things into account. There is such a thing, and it's called a color wheel. I'm going to show it to you right here. This is a color wheel. You can buy one and learn about how color works and which colors go together and that kind of a thing and how they work. I found this one at Michael's. It's an arts and crafts store. You've heard of it. And that's how you can get a color wheel at Michael's. Before you get to a color wheel, what I usually do with walls is go neutral, soft white, beiges, because you can pretty much have anything go with those. You can have furniture go with them, and flooring go with them, and curtains go with them, and things like that. Sometimes you want an accent wall. I'll tell you an easy way on paint, which is when you go to the paint store and you go into see all these different paint samples. They have little swatches printed out on paper of many different colors. And you'll notice that if you pick one up, let's say it's got blue. It's got a blue, a lighter blue, a lighter blue, a lighter blue, or darker, 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 darker on one piece of paper. Well, on that one piece of paper, you can do what's called monochromatic, which means one color. It's one color with a lot of different shades. You can make anything go together with that. That's so easy to do. Anybody can do that. You just go and you pick out something you like, and you could do 3 walls, one of those colors on that swatch, and you could do an accent wall, another color. Or you could do an accent wall, a completely different color, depending on your taste on it, right? The other thing about painting walls that a lot of times people don't think about or know is the walls will come out looking better the better you prepare the walls for paint. So walls sometimes have imperfections of them. Somebody went crazy with thumbtacks or putting up pictures and you have a lot of little holes. Well, those little holes need to be filled in and made smooth with the rest of the wall. You want a really smooth wall before you begin painting. Now, the more, let's say, irregularities you have in the wall, the more they're going to show up. Now, paint also comes in different sheens. You spell that S-H-E-E-N, and it simply means how shiny the paint is. Really, really shiny paint, like high gloss paint, which nobody ever puts on a wall, but suppose you did, would show up every imperfection on that wall, and all you'd be doing all day long is staring at all these imperfections. So people don't do that. The sheens that usually get put on the wall are like eggshell, or if you really want to be forgiving and you don't want stuff to show up, use flat paint. There's no sheen, there's no shine, and it'll hide those little imperfections on your walls much better than an eggshell. Most trim gets done in semi-gloss, and so you don't want to have a lot of, little holes or things sticking up. Irregular surface, you could call it. You don't want to have an irregular surface. You want to have those all sanded down very smooth before you paint, because when you put that semi-gloss paint on trim, the irregularities or the imperfections are going to show up really well. So knowing about sheens, if your wall prep isn't the world's greatest, get a flat colored paint or a flat sheen paint. Flat's going to be way more forgiving than something else like. Anyway, it'll be a lot easier to go with flat. All ceiling paint is flat, and ceiling paint is pretty much a consistent color, one ceiling paint to the other ceiling paint. Trim paint is usually ultra pure white, and it's a semi-gloss, and if you get really good paint, you'll do less work. And if you get paint that's not as good, well, you might do 3 coats, sometimes 2 coats. So in terms of painting, Like I said, you can go with neutrals. You can hit beiges and off-whites. And on a walls in a living room or another room, I would never do a brilliant white. If Go ahead and put it on a wall, and you'll see why your eyes are going to hurt. Take an off-white, it's softer. Make the walls disappear, in other words, or just be a background. You're not trying to make the walls like jump out at you, in a room. But if the wall prep is done well, the walls are nice and smooth, the paint is done good, and the paint goes with everything else you have in the room, it feels natural and it all goes together. And that is a really important point about any design feature in any room, where it feels like everything goes together in the room. That's what you're trying to achieve. And in design, they call that integration. It all goes together. You can even, when you get good at it, integrate between rooms, where the whole home feels like it goes together, but it's definitely defined and it's definitely different room to room. But overall, there's a thread that goes throughout, and so it feels like the whole home goes together. So this is just about paint. I try to stay with neutrals. It's your home. I stay with neutrals because I'm selling the home. You can go into other things, and if you want to get into the different ways that color can be harmonious, there you go. Color wheel. You can get one of those. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.